The sun barely peeked over the horizon as television screens across Manila flickered with urgent headlines. U.S. and Philippines launch joint sea patrol. After major gas find, news anchors' voices trembled with excitement and tension. On the scrolling ticker, details spilled out. American and Filipino naval ships were moving together for the first time in decades, drawn by a stunning discovery in the South China Sea. Helicopters hovered above the port of Subic Bay, capturing live footage of warships preparing to set sail. The USS Mustin, a sleek American destroyer, stood beside the BRP Jose Rizal, the pride of the Philippine Navy. Their crews, lined in white and blue, looked both proud and anxious. The world watched as anchors repeated, "This is not just another patrol. This is history in the making." Phones buzzed across Asia and beyond. Analysts speculated about what this meant for security, energy, and diplomacy. The South China Sea, long a flashpoint, had once again become the center of global attention. This time, the stakes seemed higher than ever. The joint patrol was not just a show of force. It was a signal, one that would ripple far beyond the waves. Just weeks earlier, a seismic survey vessel had detected something extraordinary beneath the waves near Reed Bank, an undersea formation rich in natural gas. The discovery was quickly confirmed, a deposit large enough to fuel the Philippines for decades and possibly export to neighbors. Experts called it the biggest energy find in Southeast Asia in a generation. For the Philippines, this was a dream come true. The country has long depended on imported fuel, and power shortages are common. Now, hope soared that homes and factories could have more reliable, cheaper electricity. "This could change our future," said Dr. Aurora Santos, an energy economist from Manila. "It means jobs, investment, and growth." But the find also raised old fears. The South China Sea is crowded with competing claims. China, Vietnam, and others have argued over who owns the waters and the resources beneath them. In recent years, tensions have run high, with fishing boats and Coast Guard ships clashing in disputed areas. Suddenly, a local issue had become an international one. The gas discovery was not just about energy, it was about power, sovereignty, and the right to decide who benefits from the sea. As news of the gas discovery spread, nerves frayed in government offices from Manila to Washington. Chinese survey ships quickly appeared near Reed Bank, shadowed by Coast Guard cutters. The Philippines' leaders worried. Would they lose their prize before they could even touch it? President Maria Velasco convened an emergency meeting with her top advisors. They discussed scenarios, some hopeful, some alarming. The message from the military was clear. We must protect our resources, but we need help. The United States, bound by a decades-old mutual defense treaty, responded fast. Washington saw the risk of conflict and the need to reassure its ally. Joint patrols were proposed as a way to deter interference and keep the peace. "We stand with our friends," declared U.S. Ambassador Richard Smith. "This patrol is about upholding international law and regional stability." The Philippine government agreed. Together, they would show the world that the gas fields would not be taken by force. It was a calculated risk, but the alternative, doing nothing, seemed far worse. The decision was made. Set sail, together. The first morning of the patrol was tense and electric. The USS Mustin's radar swept the dark waters as the BRP Jose Rizal's crew scanned the horizon with binoculars. Both ships moved in careful formation, close enough to communicate by signal flags and radio, but ready for any surprise. The sea was choppy, the wind strong, and the air thick with anticipation. Crew members from both navies exchanged cautious smiles. Some had trained together before, but most had never sailed side by side like this. The mood was serious, but also proud. Their routes skirted the edges of the new gas field, avoiding the most disputed zones but making their presence known. Drones buzzed overhead, sending live video back to command centers in Manila and Pearl Harbor. The patrol was watched not only by allies, but also by rivals. As night fell, the ships lit up with running lights. On the bridge, officers kept their eyes on radar screens and satellite feeds. No one knew what tomorrow would bring, but all felt the weight of history. The USS Mustin, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, bristled with advanced radar and missile systems. Her crew of 280 was a mix of seasoned sailors and young recruits. Captain Elizabeth Monroe, calm under pressure, briefed her team. "We're here to support our allies and keep the peace. Stay alert, stay professional." Alongside, the BRP Jose Rizal showed off the Philippine Navy's growing capabilities. Sleek and modern, with a crew of 120, she carried surface-to-air missiles and state-of-the-art sensors. Captain Ramon Cruz addressed his sailors. "This is our duty, to protect our nation's future, work with our partners, learn from them." The two crews shared meals, stories, and even a few laughs below deck. They compared traditions, from American burgers to Filipino adobo, and exchanged badges. But always their eyes turned back to duty. The sea can be unpredictable, and so can politics. Even as the patrol went smoothly, both captains knew the risks. One misstep, one misunderstanding, could spark a crisis. But for now, professionalism and determination held firm. Back on land, analysts and scholars watched the patrol with keen interest. Dr. Lin Nguyen, a maritime law expert in Singapore, explained, "This is a visible signal to the world. The United States and the Philippines are united, and they are prepared to defend their interests." She pointed out that joint patrols also complicate actions by other claimants. Professor Carlos Mendoza from the University of the Philippines was more cautious. "Patrols are important, but they are not a solution in themselves," he warned. "We must also work for diplomatic agreements, or the risk of escalation remains high." Energy experts joined the conversation. The gas field could be a game changer, but only if it can be developed safely and fairly, said Maria Lim, an analyst based in Hong Kong. The challenge, she noted, is turning discovery into actual benefit for ordinary Filipinos. The world's attention for now was fixed on the ships at sea, but the real test would come in the months ahead, as governments and companies eyed the riches beneath the waves. In Palawan, the closest province to the new gas field, fishermen watched the news with mixed feelings. Some were hopeful. "Maybe this time, we will finally get opportunities," said June, a father of 4 from Puerto Princesa. "If there are jobs, if there is electricity, our lives could really improve." But others worried about what might be lost. "We have fished these waters all our lives," said Rosita, a community leader. "Will we still be allowed? Or will outsiders take over everything?" Environmental groups urged caution, warning that drilling could harm marine habitats. In city markets and village squares, people debated the risks and rewards. Some feared that more ships meant more conflict, bringing danger to peaceful communities. Others hoped the patrols would bring a sense of safety, allowing them to work without fear of harassment. Across the region, there was one common feeling: uncertainty. The sea, their lifeline, had suddenly become a stage for great powers. The joint patrol signaled more than just a response to a gas discovery. It marked a new era in the alliance between the United States and the Philippines. For years, relations had been steady but sometimes strained. Now, faced with a common challenge, both nations found renewed purpose. Military cooperation deepened, training exercises increased, and plans for joint bases were dusted off. Diplomats spoke of shared commitment and mutual benefit. Yet there were also debates about sovereignty, dependence, and the balance of power. Other countries in Southeast Asia watched closely. Some welcomed the increased presence, hoping it would bring stability. Others worried it could provoke new confrontations. China, in particular, issued stern warnings, insisting on its own claims and interests. The patrol was just the start. Behind the scenes, deals and negotiations unfolded over energy, security, and the future of the region. As the first patrol drew to a close, both navies reported no incidents, mission accomplished. But everyone agreed. This was only the beginning. More patrols were planned. Talks began about joint exploration and revenue sharing from the gas field. Governments braced for the next move, whether from China or other claimants. The world's eyes remained fixed on the South China Sea, waiting for signs of peace or escalation. "The next few months will be crucial," said Dr. Santos. "There are opportunities for cooperation, but also real risks of conflict." For the people of the Philippines, hope and anxiety walked hand in hand. Would the gas discovery bring prosperity or trouble? Would the patrols keep the peace or trigger new confrontations? One thing was certain: The waves of the South China Sea would carry the echoes of this moment far into the future.